Hey, what's up? It's Hillary. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's been a while since I filmed a video. I took a little bit of a break after the new year to just settle back into work. Going forward, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to do at least one video a week, maybe two sometimes. That's kind of the regularity that I'm hoping for on this channel. So thank you so much for being here. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I think I hit maybe 16 subscribers recently. However you're coming across these videos, I love having you here. Thank you for stopping by. Today is a perfect day to cozy up and read because we got some snow overnight and it's quite cold outside. So I plan on just snuggling up with a comfy blanket and my book and reading as much as I can. I am going to my friend's house tonight to watch the People We Meet on Vacation movie. I'm very excited about that, but I still have a few hours to read before that. So today I'm going to be starting The City of Brass. Now, my book club picked this book for our January meeting, so that is perfect because this was something that I was planning on diving into this year regardless. And just look at this beautiful edition. I'm so excited to find out who this is. I think she's a con artist maybe, and to find out more about this world and also just enjoy this beautiful edition. Wow. I don't know if I've ever looked under the cover. Oh, she's gorgeous. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna dive into this and I'm kind of thinking that if I really like this, I might just continue straight into the next books. Thank you so much for being here and I hope you enjoy this video. Check in with you later. I am about 43% into City of Brass, so I wanted to provide an update. Now, I waited a while for doing this update. At 43% in, I would have expected we'd be getting into a bit of spoiler territory, and I'd have to be, starting to be careful about what I update. But I feel like not much is happening. Like, things are definitely happening, but not much is advancing just yet to the point where anything spoilery has really happened yet. So we start out with Nahri as our main character. She seems to be about 20-ish years old. She's living in 18th century Cairo. Some aspects of this world do seem to be based on our world, just in the 18th century, mainly in Northern Africa. So Nahri is a lot of things. It seems like people think of her almost like a fortune teller, at times maybe even like an exorcist. And she, a bit of a con woman. She also mysteriously has the ability to tell when something is wrong with someone or what is wrong with someone. And so people kind of come to her as if she's a healer and she can tell them what's wrong with them and give some advice for things they can do to feel better. She also can understand multiple languages, including a language that only she knows, that she's never heard anyone else speak before. Yeah, so she's got a lot going on. In a big scene, someone brings their daughter to her for, like I said, kind of maybe like the exorcism-ish ritual. And so she's kind of doing some theatrics to get people to, you know, buy into this, even though really she's kind of conning them. But she decides to spruce it up a bit by speaking in the language that only she understands. And in doing so, ends up summoning some kind of spirit. She can hear the spirit speaking to her, but no one else hears anything. She continues on with the ceremony as if nothing is happening. But after the ceremony, the woman who she was supposed to be exorcising, Basima, definitely seems to be possessed by something, and whatever is possessing her chases Nahri down through a cemetery. Nahri is then joined by a mysterious warrior who helps her escape from the possessed spirit, and he tells her that possessed spirit is called an Ifrit. Basically, Ifrits are vengeful spirits who possess other creatures to get what they want. This mysterious warrior helps her escape, like I said, and they enchant a carpet and go for a magic carpet ride. It's giving Aladdin. I couldn't help but picture the magic carpet. So the mysterious warrior man who is helping her flee doesn't give her much information, despite him pretty much hammering her with questions about her abilities and who she is. What we do learn is that he says he's Deva and is from daevabad. He refuses to be referred to as a djinn, even though it kind of seems like magical beings are referred to as djinn for the most part. This certain culture or kingdom maybe calls themselves by Deva and instead of jinn. Basically, they've refused the term jinn as an identifying term. We do eventually learn that this man goes by the name Dara, or at least that's a shortened version of his name. After asking Nahri multiple questions about herself, tells her that he thinks that she is a Shafrit, which is half jinn, half human, and that she actually is supposed to be living in Daevabad because that's where the Shafrits live. This is all news to her. Our girl is Delulu and doesn't think that magic is real despite having all of those powers. Didn't think that was a little odd. Yeah, and in fact thinks that she might be the last surviving member of this well-respected line of healers. They are now on their way to Daevabad to take Nahri to where he thinks she belongs. On the way, basically all that's happening is the two of them talking, them flying on a magic carpet, and various Ifrits attacking them in the form of various creatures. We are also getting some world building and, you know, mentions of new terms, mentions of various kingdoms, various types of magic. That's kind of all we're getting. In the middle of all of this, we get a new POV. And it's Prince Ali, mighty is he, Ali Ababa. Just kidding. That's from Aladdin. But he is Prince Ali. And his sheik comes to him, and we find out that he has been trying to help the Shafrits, again, half jinn, half humans, in Daevabad. Prince Ali lives in Daevabad. And so they go on this mission, and it's the first time Prince Ali goes with the sheik. And, you know, he doesn't do a great job because they end up getting caught, and his sheik has to sacrifice himself so that Prince Ali can live. And they're saving children. I don't quite understand everything about that. The things that we're learning about Ali are that he's a very religious person. He's very young. He's very naive. In my opinion, quite insufferable. Like, just so privileged that he doesn't even have to be aware of some wrongdoings happening in his kingdom. His father is trying to get him prepared to take over. There's definitely some politics happening within his family, because he does have an older brother and a sister, an older sister, but for some reason he is sort of being prime. You know, I kind of feel like that's all I have, which is crazy. Like I said, I'm 43% in, like 8 hours into this audiobook. So hopefully some juicy stuff starts happening soon. I wouldn't say that I'm bored. I just am hoping that things pick up a little bit. Like, it's just been a little bit slow. Oh, yes, I forgot to say, Dara. We find out that Dara used to be a slave, and that he would grant wishes. So we've got a magic carpet, we've got a Prince Ali, and we've got a genie. He's no longer a slave. He doesn't grant the wishes anymore. He is hundreds of years old, and he is very handsome. Nahri has a bit of a crush on the genie. Now, their dynamics to me don't read like he's a love interest, but he might be. I'm just not getting that vibe. I'm getting more like brother, friend. But yeah, she's got the hots for him. Okay, now I think that's everything that I know. See you later. All right, here's the deal. I've been reading The City of Brass for a long time. Actual number of days that I have actively read this book is probably 7 or 8. Usually I finish a book within about 6 active days of reading. So this has gone on very long. There's been a lot of days where I've read like 20 pages. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I've been doing what I can. There's been a lot going on at work, and so honestly I've been coming home from work feeling pretty I don't have much in me when I get home, whereas usually anytime that I'm not at work, I'm reading. Like, I'm reading on the way to work, on the way home from work, I'm reading in the evenings as soon as I get home until I go to bed, like all of those kinds of things. And lately I've been feeling pretty brain dead when I come home, so I've been listening to a lot more music, which has been fun, but I really, really want to finish this book. And I'm starting to feel like I'm slumping, and it's not anything against this book. That's the thing. Like, it's me. I haven't had the capacity to appreciate and absorb the way that I normally do, or as quickly as I normally do. And I just don't like the way that I feel. Like, I love reading. It's so fun for me. It's very exciting to be in different worlds. Every few days I get to be in a different world with different characters and meeting new people. And so I'm missing that feeling. Today I do feel like I have brain capacity, and there's plenty of time before I have to go to bed. So I want to just try to read for the rest of the night as much as I can and see if I can finish City of Brass. I made a January TBR, and I'm so excited. I want to read every single book that I put on that TBR, and I put 9 books on it. I also want to read other books that aren't on that TBR, and sometimes I pick 9 thinking like, oh, I might do more than this. All of that to say, I really want to finish City of Brass tonight. I might not be updating you very often because I kind of just want to focus on reading rather than turning the camera on and talking. I think the only update I have since the last book related update I gave is that Nahri and Dara are now in Daevabad. Bit of a hassle getting in because people recognized Dara or figured out who or what Dara is, and it turns out Dara started a rebellion. So the people who are in Daevabad see him as kind of like an enemy or a troublemaker, and he wasn't greeted warmly when they got there. But Nahri, on the other hand, people could tell almost immediately that she's not human. So it does seem like Dara was correct when he told her way back near the beginning of the book that he thought she was related to the line of healers, the Nahids. It does seem like that is correct, and so people in Daevabad had no problem welcoming her in. In fact, she's got her own room in the palace, and the king is talking to his son about maybe an arranged marriage situation. Prince Ali is still insufferable. He is just a brat. I don't like him at all. I'm still not really feeling the romance. I don't know if we're supposed to be into the romance between Nahri and Dara. I'm kind of getting the sense that like Dara's like, oh yeah, she's cute, I like her, but I've got bigger fish to fry. And then Nahri's like, oh, a man has never paid that much attention to me and he's hot. Also, we found out that djinn slaves have some kind of enchantment to where they look very handsome and beautiful for their masters. So is he even really that handsome? Like, I think maybe she's like falling under this enchantment more so than for him. So I'm just not buying it. I'm not feeling it. I don't know if I'm supposed to be, but that's where I'm at with that. And let's go. Alright, I'm here to give you my final thoughts on City of Brass. So I was able to finish this a little bit before my book club, maybe about a week and a half before my book club meeting, and then we had our meeting last night. So now I'm here to update you not only on my experience, but also, you know, kind of filling it in with some of the book club discussion points. So overall, I rated this a 3.5. I thought it was a great start to a series. It introduced the world and the magic, which I found very interesting, sort of introduced more questions than answers. The end did have a lot of reveals and somewhat shocking moments, but we still don't have a lot of answers. And I did finish this feeling like I could see how book 2 would be a lot better and be even more exciting with all of the information we were finding out at the very end. I'm gonna keep this part spoiler free, but then I think at the end I'll put a spoiler warning because I do kind of want to say what some of my predictions are for the next book or the rest of the series at least. But for now, I'll keep it spoiler free. At the book club meeting last night, we talked a lot about how we all appreciated a fantasy book set in a Middle Eastern setting and a magic system based on Arabic or Middle Eastern folklore. We also talked a lot about the writing style and how this book had a very storytelling style. So, you know, it was a little bit slower in the beginning, but was building and building and building. And towards the end, man, a lot of things were happening. Everyone enjoyed that. I should say, everyone at the book club meeting really liked the book, anywhere from 3.5 to 5 stars out of 5. And a lot of people, almost everyone, said that they do plan on continuing the series. So that is a successful book for the book club. In general, we talked a lot about how most of the characters we don't really trust. It just kind of feels like there's a lot left unanswered, a lot of mystery around a lot of the characters. We talked a lot about how even the side characters felt very fleshed out. Like it wasn't just, here's our main characters and then here's these side characters with the sole purpose of, you know, this one gets killed off or little plot devices. Rather, each of the side characters seemed like they might have a really strong purpose throughout the rest of the series and were really adding to the story and the plot and the dynamics. A lot of us appreciated that even though Nahri had the magical powers to be a healer, it wasn't like a lot of romantasy where she has no idea that she's a healer and then all of a sudden she can heal and it's so easy, all she has to do is put her hand on them. She had to be very intentional with what she wanted to happen and to really think about it, and she was talking about thinking about the bone structure and things like that. it wasn't that she immediately could do miracle healing. She actually had to work for it, so we appreciated that. But yeah, overall, I ended up really enjoying this, and I will plan on reading Kingdom of Copper, hopefully in February. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about my theory. So this is going to be a spoiler warning. If you do not want to hear any spoilers about this book, I'll put a timestamp on the screen for where you should jump ahead. Okay, so one of my biggest predictions is that I think Ali is a Shafit. So early in the book, he ends up helping his sheik with a mission. They're like taking Shafit children from orphanages and placing them with magical families and keeping it a secret that these children are actually Shafit and having them grow up as sort of like pure blood magic beings. There was some foreshadowing about how Shafit can actually be just as powerful, and Ali a few times said things like, purebloods don't sweat, and I sure do seem to be sweating, and things like that. When we found out near the end that he might not know who both of his parents are, I found that to be a hint that, you know, maybe he was one of those Shafit children who was brought to live with the king, probably for his magical potential or something like that. There were a ton of connections made with Ali and water. So I think he might, one of his parents at least, might be one of the Ayanli, because they are nestled between the rushing headwaters of the Nile River and the salty coast. So they're between two bodies of water. They have gleaming coral mansions. You know, it just seems to me like they're kind of like the water people. And so there were some times in this book where Ali, like weird things were happening with water and Ali in various points, especially towards the last half of the book. But also he really loved swimming and he was always in the water. And then when he fell into the lake at the end, he ultimately didn't die. So those are my two predictions with Ali. Another prediction I had was when Nahri went into that, I don't know, cave or something where they were keeping the bodies of her family line. And they said something like, if you burn them, there's a chance they could come back. And so they're keeping their bodies there so that they can't come back. And I was like, so they're going to come back. Like, she's going to burn them, or she's going to somehow use her powers to bring them back, or something like that. So I think that her family will come back. Although the fact that her mom is still alive and is maybe very evil. There was mention of her torturing people, but I think her mom is going to maybe be a big character in the next book. And so she'll get to learn a lot more about her family line, maybe what her abilities are. So I think that will be pretty cool. If there is a romance in the end of it, like if this is all sort of building towards a romance, I would suspect that Ali is going to be the romantic interest for her. I just kind of feel like we were set up to see that he would be a better match, like a better fit for her. So that's my prediction. A lot of us were noting that Ali's brother and the brother's close friend seemed like they were probably lovers, and that maybe that was frowned upon. Like queer relationships seem to be frowned upon in this universe. I had a prediction. I was remembering in the beginning of the book, she steals a ring from one of her like con clients. And then after that is when she summons Dara. And then there's a point later in the book where she like makes a wish, and Dara kind of has to comply and grant it. And so I was wondering if that ring somehow was enabling her to sort of have that connection with Dara. And yeah, like if that ring had something to do with why she could have that connection and why she could summon him in the first place. I also really noticed how when they first went into Daevabad, they had to go through kind of like a portal. And when they went through that, Nahri had a very serious reaction. I think it even said she maybe passed out or something like that, and the people around her didn't really seem to be having that reaction. And so I was wondering if that was significant for maybe like the type of magic that she has, or the type of magical being she is, or something like that. So yeah, those are just some of my predictions. I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting to mention here, but I will read the next book and see if I'm on target with any of these. So I'll go ahead and end the spoiler section here. So welcome back to everyone who skipped over the spoilers. I'm just gonna go ahead and close this out and say, if you are interested in a YA epic fantasy with a little bit of a romance subplot that is a very rich magic world based on Arabic and Middle Eastern folklore, definitely check out The City of Brass. It is a trilogy. All 3 books are out, and this was a really great experience to read this book, especially with this book club. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close out this reading vlog. Thank you so much for being here. If you're already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if you're not, if you would consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel to see videos in the future, I would really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.